Hello nerds and welcome to Into the Wild, your favourite wildlife and conservation podcast where we look at all things, well, wildlife and conservation.
This is a podcast of curiosity where we know we don't have all the answers.
Oh, that's my co-host Nadia, by the way.
Hi. But it doesn't really matter because we're here to learn and crucially listen to those who are affected by and closest to the issues that we as conservationists tend to pick over from our comfy living rooms.
So strap yourselves in, open up your luggles, grab a brew and join us as we geek out over nature, share our love for wildlife, rarely take ourselves seriously, all whilst learning. Oh, and we sometimes swear. Would you like to see my mug?
Yeah? You've never asked me that before. Nice tits. It says nice tits. Where did you get that from?
But what's it got on it as well as the words nice tit?
It's got a great tit and what looks like a willow tit. Not a willow tit. A willow tit or a marsh tit.
So it's funny, isn't it?
Nice. Who got you that? Was it customer?
No, I think I got that from a little shop down in Archway.
So why is it when I go to yours you never give me a cup of tea and nice tits? What's wrong with my tits?
This is my afternoon mug. You don't share mugs.
I've been in your cupboard and I've never seen nice tits.
So many things I want to say.
That's a beautiful mug.
It's nice, isn't it? I do like it. How are you?
It's the pun that keeps on giving, isn't it? Nice tits.
It is, because even though I think every naturalist in the UK has probably seen that in some gift shop somewhere on a t-shirt, on a notepad or something, we all still will take a picture of it and send it to someone.
Yeah.
Get
a little snigger.
It's the hailstone weather of the nature art world. You've got to tell someone about it.
You do. You have to tell. Saw this great t-shirt today.
Yeah.
Said nice tits.
But it had a picture of it. Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great tits.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Yeah, good. It's really a little bit, dare I say, cold today in London.
Do you know what? I feel really so there was like 6 hot weeks, wasn't there?
Yeah.
When we were in our Omega block. Do you remember,
I do remember
the Omega block?
Is that gone now?
And that's gone now. We're out of the Omega block system. And what's happening now is this is what I like to call proto-autumn. And I've accepted that summer is over for me now.
Okay, bear with me, because when you introduced the Omega block as news, and I don't think I can fully put this on you, because the article you were reading, you know.
Oh no! Oh, I think you probably will.
Okay, well, you made it sound like Armageddon. You were like proper like, we don't know when this is going to end, right? We're in the Omega block for an unpredictable amount of time. This could be Britain for the rest of our the following week. You're like, yeah, that's ended.
That's how I felt at the time.
So I listened to it back and I was like, God, we're scaring people with the Omega block.
I was scared listening back to that one a little bit. Yeah.
You also told us that summer has ended for you. You're done, ready for winter. And then the next week you were saying you were cold and ready for summer.
I'm fickle, to be honest.
I don't know. You're left, you're right, you're up, you're down. I don't know.
Do you know what that is? That's climate change. That's what it does to the psyche. Because when your seasons are insecure, and you go from one week to the next, not knowing what it's going to be.
Okay, that is very true, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, good. You were waiting for that, weren't you?
Well, I think it's correct, because if you knew the seasons were standard, you knew May and April, lovely, whatever, and then June, July, August, long summer days. But I'm all over the place, Ryan.
Do you know what I think the best tagline for our show is? And it's what you just said. Into the wild. I think that's correct.
And we're all over the place.
Oh, what's been your nature highlight this week, Shake?
It's a doozy.
Oh, go on.
It's an absolute doozy. Considering last week my nature news was just I've got no news.
Yeah.
This is a doozy. House martins.
Yeah.
Have built a nest above my bedroom window.
Above your bedroom window?
Yeah.
That is nice. Because you told us they were knocking around your house, looking like they were going to.
And because we're out of the Omega block and it actually rained, they could access wet mud. And there is the most gorgeous mud cup in poking distance.
Oh, Are you gonna take it off at the end of the season?
They reuse them, Ryan. They'll
I
reuse
didn't
a
know
mud
that.
cup. Yeah, I don't want to make them start. Imagine coming back next year going, "You're joking. I've got to
Start
start
again.
from scratch."
Just for the record, I've never taken one off a wall.
I think they do sometimes fall off though with heavy rain and stuff. So like, it wouldn't be the end. It wouldn't be the end of the world. But I will leave it up, or maybe.
Well, my next,
Yeah, I'll leave it
the
up.
Swifts reuse their nest. They obviously reuse the cavity, but they reuse the actual nest.
Well, there's not much there really. They'll just nest on the floor of the. But they'll probably. I think they drag some bits in, but it's not like a nice nest.
Well, okay. So the reason why I ask is I'm gonna segue into my nature highlight, which is so similar to yours, but it's with swifts, because the swifts are nesting in my roof. So from my living room, I can look out. Very quiet today, actually. I haven't even heard a swift today. It's very wet though. And I can sit on my sofa, look at the window, and see them coming in and out and flying up and down. But I knew they were going to do it anyway, because a couple of years ago, or last year actually, we had the roofer come and sort out some guttering, and he was quite the birder, and he came down and showed me a picture of the nest inside.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, it's really quite. And it was quite a circular little thing. And he was like,
Oh.
I was like, oh, can you nip back up and get it? Because this was like at the end of, this was like in October.
I think it's fine because I think because with summer winters not being cold anymore, I think clearing out old nests to get rid of any kind of like mites, like insects.
Yeah,
I think
true.
It's probably better for the health of the bird anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it.
I might try and get that nest out then at the end of the year. See if I can.
What? Just put one of your long arms out and stick it in, or what?
I'll just call the roofer back. He's local.
Oh yeah, because he's not got more jobs to do.
Well, no, just call Gary with the ladder.
Oh, fine, fair enough. Yeah, Gary.
All right.
That's lovely.
What two lovely little nature highlights.
Okay, so we'll next time you hear about these guys, we'll tell you when they've fledged.
Absolutely. Should we go into nature news? 1, 2,
Let's do it.
3. Let's go. Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a clickbaity thing. If you want me to start with clickbait.
I also have a clickbaity thing.
Oh shit.
I wonder if it's the same one.
Okay,
No.
after 3, name the animal it's about.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Elephant.
Birds.
Oh, okay.
Oh, great.
Right, you share your clickbait one first then.
Well, this was a story that there's these engineers, entrepreneurs have designed a dissolvable splint paste made from eggshells and basil, and it saves urban birds from injuries. And the photographs along with this article you have to share with our listeners because I'm dying. So I'm going to start with the sad part of this article, which is every year an estimated 1 billion birds die in building collisions in the United States.
1 billion?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's a lot.
So when we know that they strike into buildings, but also their legs get stuck in power lines, barbed wire and railings. Conservation experts and wildlife advocates are on the front lines in making city environments more accessible. So it's something people are trying to address in terms of like addressing light pollution, bird safe glass, etc. It's heartbreaking, really. But we needed solutions. When birds have got these injuries where their legs break, they needed a solution. And the answer is bird aid, which are these little... They look like, the picture I've got in front of me now, they look like fruit pastels. That's the shape of them, and they're in different colours. And they're created by these designers called Zae Kim, Chaewon Lee, and Youngmin Park. And they're safe enough for anyone to use. And basically, it's all natural materials, and you create this paste that you wrap around the leg, and then you just leave it then, and it's biodegradable, so the bird can fly off. And they did all the science to figure out like the average time it would take for a hairline fracture to mend in a bird's leg. They put the components, the ingredients, so that same amount of time it would eventually dissolve. And there's 3 different colours based on what kind of injury it is. So it gives it a proper natural calcium support for bone recovery, for example. So I'll just give you a quick example. So they come in yellow, green or red based on different food colourings like beetroot, etc. Yellow tablets for injuries which the bird struggles to put weight on an injured leg and has swelling, likely to be a partial fracture. The green ones, coloured by basil, help heal hairline fractures, which a bird is limping but it can still perch. And there is a picture of this fake crow with this thing around its leg, but then there is also a photograph of a jackdaw with these little paste splint. Not jackdaw, it's a crow, sorry. With a splint on its legs so people can just wet them and wrap it round and let them go.
I mean, that is adorable. It's
very
adorable
cute.
and actually very wholesome.
It is wholesome. I thought it would be more clickbaity than it is. I think
it's actually quite an interesting story.
It is. I know. I think that if you live in an environment with high buildings and you do notice injured birds, order yourself some, and you could become a little bird nurse.
Bird nurse, yeah. My clickbait story is a bit more clickbaity, but I do feel like we can have a quick natter, maybe even just 2 minutes about the topic. But basically, an elephant went shopping in Thailand. So.
Oh, God. Basically, that's how you tell stories anyway. So basically.
I don't think you need to know much more. An elephant. I should have gone first. An elephant went into a supermarket in Thailand, and the article said caused havoc, and I think that means it was just huge.
It's a fucking elephant.
Like,
in a
I don't think the
supermarket.
elephant went on a rampage. It was just an elephant in a supermarket.
It's like a bull in a china shop gets a bad rap.
It's literally the phrase.
What do you expect?
Do you want to know what he ate?
Oh, if it's not fucking everything, no, I don't.
He ate 9 bags of sweet rice crackers, a sandwich, filling unspecified, and some bananas worth estimated 800 baht, which is about $25. There's a video on.
Oh, that's
There's a video
so
on BBC
good.
News. The reason why I wanted to share it, though, obviously it is a bit of clickbait and stuff.
BBC covering all of the stuff at the moment.
I feel like
They did the pigeon one last week.
Yeah, I mean, they're becoming very reliable for not important news. But what I am going to say is, I did watch it, and you kind of laugh, and the comments are like, "Oh my god, yeah, all that stuff." But my mind, I don't know if you would do this if you saw this story. I was like, can we just appreciate the fact that this happens? Like, this happens, and there's people around the world in many different countries that share environments with elephants or other large mammals and sometimes predators. This shit happens, and it's scary. Can you imagine being in a supermarket and a fucking elephant is there?
I mean, I think I'd love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
No, I think I wouldn't be like, oh god, I'm scared, this is the worst day. I'd be like, oh my god, guess what happened to me today?
I think I'd only be less scared if the elephant was munching food.
How did it open the packets of rice crackers?
I'll be honest, Nadia. Sheer pressure.
Do you reckon it keeps its wallet in its trunk? I'm not paying for these.
Not paying for it. Why should you?
Love.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, yeah. In our small little world, where a spider in the bath is like,
it is human wildlife conflict.
It's human wildlife conflict.
A fox in the bins, but this is So
I mean, I have seen a gull walk into a Londis and take a bag of crisps. I'm pretty sure. Not in like on Instagram.
Yeah, you've seen the video. You didn't witness it. Okay, so
wow.
that's my clickbaity story. Are you right if I share my main story now?
Yeah, please do.
Thanks. This one is from Monga Bay. I found this on. Again, quite an interesting story. I will say sorry to the listeners as I go through this because there's quite a lot of elements to this story, so I might be a bit like jumping from one bit to another, but I'll try and relay it as best I can. But basically, there was a pay-to-release program in Indonesia to reduce shark deaths, but it's backfired in some cases. So there's a little bit of nuance in it. So I've not really heard of many pay-to-release schemes. And I think when we talk about fisheries, whether it be freshwater or marine, there's so much to think about, especially in marine. So I thought, right, let's dive into this and find out what's going on. So researchers basically behind an incentivized base fisheries program in Indonesia, they've reported that there was a drop in shark and ray bycatch, but also warned of an unexpected rise in the intentional capture of threatened species, right? So the program basically pays some small-scale fisheries in the Aceh province on the island of Sumatra and on Lombok Island to release any live hammerhead sharks and wedgefish that they catch. So while the incentive is basically designed and implemented by the NGO Right, bear with me while I say this. The NGO Kyrgyzstan Untuk Lutan, or KUL, as I'm going to be calling it from here on out, Nadia, has provided been successful in reducing bycatch of this fish. It's also created the incentive where fishermen are deliberately catching them in order to get the payments incentive paid to them, which has caused some drop in numbers. So Holly Booth, who is a research associate from the University of Oxford's Interdisciplinary Centre for Conservation Science in the UK, said, "Our results do not imply that a pay-to-release programme cannot work in Indonesia, but rather they do offer valuable insights into how such programmes could be more effectively designed and deployed," which is, kind of, I don't know. Again, it's one of those things. It's like, all programmes should always show that kind of stuff. It should always show up issues where you have to go, we have to go back and kind of. There's always going to be unintended consequences, right? So the details of it is researchers from Indonesia, the US and the UK evaluated the conservation programme involving around 87 fisheries, with 50 operating in East Lombok district and 37 in the Akajaya district between May 2022 and August 23. So they were offering in the Akajaya the payments for about, I'm going to do this in, I'm not going to do both currencies, about $1 for a hammerhead shark, and about $3.30 for large ones. They also received a fixed rate of 120,000 rupiah, which is $8 per wedge fish. This changed per area. So in East Lombok, fishermen were paid more than $33 per hammerheads and $2 million, which was at $135 per wedge fish. The study noted that these payments differences were based on local market rates for the fish.
Right, okay.
So they were pretty much getting the market rate of what they go for to put
as
them
if you were
back in the
selling
water.
it.
Yeah, pretty much. So don't sell it. We'll put it back. We'll give you the market rate, which I guess kind of makes sense. Over the course of this study, according to Holly Booth, she said the program paid out about a total of $4,500 over the 16-month period. And that funding came from Save Our Seas Foundation and the UK's Darwin Initiative. But however, she said the study has shown incentives must be well designed and robustly evaluated. The expected benefits were apparent. The researchers did report with 71% of wedge fish and 4% of hammerheads that were caught being released. The expected benefits were apparent. 71% of wedge fish and 4% of hammerhead sharks that were caught were being released, and that was all verified by camera footage of fishermen safely releasing them back into the water. However, the researchers also found that the program motivated some fishers to increase their catches in pursuit of higher payouts, ultimately undermine the conservation goals. And as a result of doing that, wedgefish mortality dropped by only 25%, so not a lot, compared to the control group, while hammerhead mortality rose by 44%.
Oh no!
So it's one of those stories, and as always, nerds, the link to this story is in the write-up of this episode. I do really recommend giving the whole article a read. I'm not going to sit there and read every single bit out of it, but it's. I was reading through it, going, it sounds like a good thing, doesn't it? Like, rewarding communities. It's community-based science, because you're doing kind of a very controlled study with certain fishermen in certain areas to see if it works, which is a good thing, because it does really show you the kind of the consequences that would come up, so you can go back, try again, and put it into mainstream. It's just a tricky one, though, isn't it?
I feel like, look, I'm going to be like the broken record again and again. You're trying to use capitalism to beat capitalism. And if money is the only incentive and not the will of the community to care for their environment, then it will be corrupted. And whilst these, there are scenarios where communities should absolutely be financially reimbursed for conservation efforts, because we're trapped in this system now anyway. But actually, without community buy-in based on the deep values of protecting our ecosystems, there's only so far it can go before there's corruption. I actually just googled a picture of a wedgefish because it's such a crappy name.
I know, they're actually beautiful.
They're absolutely stunning. I really encourage people to have a look at.
They are stunning.
Just gorgeous. But I think, it is tricky, and people are trying. Conservationists are trying, but we're trying in the language that Western conservation understands, which is money. Yeah. And it's like, what would we want? Which is money. And it's actually where our ecosystem's thriving. It's where communities want their ecosystems to be healed, as well as being able to make a living. and where there's community buy-in based on like ecological respect and love for the animals. I think that's why, some of like the bycatch programs with albatross, for example, worked really well, because albatross had nothing to do with the fish catch, and the fishing boats tend, to be people that are like, actually, we don't really want to kill these birds. And it wasn't a money incentive situation. So I'd like to see,
Be interesting to know, wouldn't it? Like, oh God, my brain's now racking how I could do this or how we could do this. But it'd be interesting to know and actually hear from fishing or small scale fishing communities about what it would actually take to reduce bycatch like that. Because I wonder if the communities were consulted from conservation programs going, what would it take for you to not catch those fish?
Yeah, that's the question.
If they turn around and said money, then you could kind of go, well, all right, then we need to figure that out.
But maybe that's the situation, which is like, we'll watch the cameras, and if we see that you're catching less than this much bycatch each year, then you'll get a payout. But if we're watching these cameras and seeing this bycatch being brought in, then you're practice. But obviously, there needs to be technological alternatives to the fishing mechanisms that cause bycatch.
Because they're using gill nets a lot of the time as well. And this, but
I just can't condone fishing.
On
an industrial scale.
Oh God, on an industrial scale.
On an individual scale, no. If you've got a pole and you go and stab a fish, you've got one line. I totally believe communities should catch fish, but on an industrial scale, I just can't. Let's keep looking at this one. Let's keep looking for other systems that work.
I'll try and find a contact in that area, Sumatra, Indonesia, that we've got that we could talk about fishing and stuff. So that's my story. Link in the write-up of this episode.
That's really interesting. That's good food for thought.
Hey nerds, sorry to interrupt the show. It's Ryan here. I just wanted to pop on to tell you something quick. We always want Into the Wild to be a free and accessible show, but it does cost to run this thing. So if you ever have any spare pennies or pounds and you want to chuck it towards your favourite nature, wildlife and conservation podcast, then you can do so by going to www.ko-fi.com/intothewildpod. The link is in the write-up of this episode. Anything you're able to give goes straight back into the shows we produce. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Back onto nature news.
Okay, so this is a story that in Kyrgyzstan, has been the announcement that there's going to be a creation of an 800,000 hectare ecological corridor.
That's absolutely huge.
8,000 kilometre squares. So this is a corridor that is going to be created to extend and connect various different areas across the country. Which is the total protected landscape. So the protected land has been linked up, creating like over 1.2 million hectares. It's supported by the United Nations Environment Programme. The corridor was defined using advanced ecological modelling to optimise its boundaries. It's designed to safeguard critical migration and dispersal routes for mountain wildlife species facing increased pressure from climate change and overgrazing. Among the species benefiting are snow leopard, classified as vulnerable, and its prey such as Asiatic ibex and a kind of sheep.
And a kind of sheep? Pray tell the name?
A Gali sheep.
A Gali sheep. Okay, I believe that.
Yeah. And so I guess the reason why I support this is because the corridor isn't necessarily a nature reserve itself, right? They're still allowing local people to graze and to have different kind of reforestation activities so that communities can still have those regulated grazing and rotational grazing. So 65,000 sheep are grazed in the area during the summer. I mean, let's see how snow leopard and livestock integrate. But the corridor's introduction brings a plan to reduce this number by, so it will reduce it by 15,000 through improved grazing management and herd rotation, giving mountain pastures more recovery time and better grazing opportunities for wild species. So apparently, if we're taking this as correct, these measures have been developed in close cooperation with local herders and community leaders to balance ecological goals with local livelihoods. It's just nice to hear stories where that is at least at the heart of it. If they're lying, they're lying. But if they're not, that's great, because that's exactly how these things need to be
I think a lot of the time as well, when, because I'm hearing more and more of these kind of stories where it's, you know, community-based conservation's coming up a lot more. You know, I think it's almost at risk of communities being a buzzword now, and I think we got to be a bit careful. But I think, like we saw in Namibia, that like there are community representatives. So I think when this kind of stuff is spoken about, it's not suggesting that every single member of the community was sat there and consulted with, but there will be probably some sort of community democratic thing where they nominate someone. Do you know what I mean? To like
it's helping us. It's just like you said with this fishing program.
Yes.
It's helping us. Like, the reality is, you can create whatever situation you want. People on the ground will kill the wildlife if that's what they want. If it's causing conflict or for food.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens, right? It's food or conflict. And so if you want to do a community token project so you can tick the box community, fair cop. But if you actually want to, you know, implement a fishing regime, that means that local communities want to protect this kind of sea ecosystems. And similarly, you know, within this region, if you want local communities not to then, you know, persecute snow leopards because of grit or whatever, then you genuinely need to do this. And it will probably force you to look at different, more creative solutions, which maybe aren't just money-based or putting up fences or, you know, getting in external people, shipping them in to be rangers, which will then prosecute and demonize and make life harder for people that actually live there. So it's just also, the government is also exploring a potential for transboundary corridors that would extend ecological connectivity beyond national borders, which is, you know, that's what people want to hear. Wildlife doesn't know country borders. And so anything that extends beyond single borders is great. So let's see how it goes. I do see WWF, you know, being named here as one of the ones. So, but you know, what a huge area.
Well, that was a nice 2 little clickbait stories and 2 big stories, quite meaty stories.
They are meaty stories. Again, we could probably do a whole hour on each of those.
We actually could. This is I'm starting.
It's not our fault that the generation can't concentrate on anything for more than 15 minutes, so we have to do these quick news shows.
That's right. Shout at them. That'll get them in. Nerds, thanks for tuning in to week 18 of Nature News. We are going to be we posted on Instagram and Blue Sky the other day, we're going to be at Global Bird Fair again this year. At Global 2025 on the Osprey stage on Saturday the 12th of July with Nature Room 101. I've got to say, we've got a banging lineup planned as well. I'm going to keep it very stum for now. But just like last year, 6 p.m. on the Osprey stage at Global Bird Fair. If you're coming along, come and see us, come watch the show. And we'll be posting lots about it on our social media in the months to come or the weeks to come. As always, just said social media, Blue Sky, Instagram. We're there on Twitter, but we're not really tweeting or engaging. We're just sharing episodes. Into the Wild, just search it. We'll come up. Whatever platform you're listening on, chuck us a review. We'd love that. And if you'd like to chuck us a bit of cash, coffee.com/Into the Wild pod. But until next week, I hope it warms up for you and starts to become a bit more like summer and a seasonal time for you all. We'll talk to you next week on another episode.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.